Hello, everyone. Welcome. So today, obviously, you can see my actual face. I'll be doing this message through multiple different mediums, I guess you could say. No pun intended. But I have written down like a little how this reading's going to go, or how this message is going to flow. So the topic of today is going to be transformation. And I was looking into it and seeing, what like it's such a broad topic, and I wanted to make sure that it was going to be more focused in a particular area. So I started to kind of just, I guess, connect with my guides and see how this should flow. We've got the introduction. They wanted to talk about causality, so that really made me feel like it's going to be around external kinds of transformation and changes. While there's personal ones that we have control over, there are also ones like the Tower card, right? It's just stuff that happens. We have no say or go over it. It's just like laws come in or the world shifts. Global disasters, like, right, what am I talking? Natural disasters is what I mean. Those kind of things. We have no control over them. Whether we want to or not, we just don't. And it could be as small as, or maybe not small for some people, but as small as raining on your wedding day, right? You have no control over that. That's something we have to adapt and change. Or it could be like the fires that have happened in LA, right? Have to save your possessions and self and animals and all that kind of stuff and get out of there because not everyone was able to stop what was happening. So there's some kind of like message around causality, cause and effect. I believe it is going to touch into some personal topics as well. But I'll wait until we get to that topic or to that section of this reading or this message right today before I get into it. After that, I did do an automatic writing. It's interesting because the automatic writing says you step out and you're not fully conscious. I don't see that as fully true for me anyway with automatic writing. I'm there, and while it's streaming through, I'm still the filter that writes it down. There's not a possible way for me to jump out of my body and just let, I don't know, whatever take over. I'm getting more of the energy that comes through. And when I do this, it's not just anybody coming through, it's really anyone of light. So I usually tap into source energy, ascended masters, angelic guides, spirit guides, whoever's really like done the work to be able to share or connect with a soul that's incarnated on earth, right? So I'm going to read that. I can't really remember it, so I'm going to read it, but just bear in mind, I did write it down on paper, and it's kind of like that saying, if you don't use it, you lose it, with like usually around muscle and stuff like that. Well, I haven't written for a long time because I don't write, right? I'm not at school anymore, and it's been many years since I was at school, so there's no necessary place where I would do that besides maybe signing my name for a parcel or something like that. So that was interesting. My handwriting has gone pretty bad. So we'll see if I can read that. So that'll be the third part. Then we're going to do a reading. And the specific topic of the reading, obviously, is transformation, but this is like narrowed down as to how to work through transformation. Which is an interesting way of putting it. I have no idea what's going to come through, so I'm just going to leave that. And then we're going to do a conclusion, and basically it's just going to sum up transformation that's happening and how, you can relate it at that point of how it relates to you. Just so you know, I'm listening to a Tibetan Zen sound heals the whole body, emotional, mental, and spiritual healing. It just popped up and I was like, fine, that'll do. It's actually really chill and really nice. It's kind of funny because it has like a Buddha head in the background, which is gigantic, and it's just like very serene. And it's funny because I was watching some little shorts, and these people had this Buddha in their kitchen, and they were like kind of arguing with each other. And it was just funny because right in the center of when they were arguing, like one was on one side of the counter and the other, and they're just talking about whatever. It's just like a silly argument. There's like Buddha just sitting there, and it's just funny to me because it's like peace and calm and harmony, and these two people fighting around it. I don't know. It's just ironic. I don't know. It's just funny. And yeah, and that'll be it. So yeah, we've got Buddha here. The Hertz is 432, if I didn't say that before. So it feels like it's just counting backwards to calmness or peace. I'm just gonna hit the little gong that I've got here, just to cleanse the energy. Okay, so causality. When I looked it up, it really talked about cause and effect. Transformation, really does come from our actions. We can make a huge transformation in someone's life through an offering, right? Or through words as well. That's why people go to motivational speakers, right? Or, in spiritual world, maybe channelers and things like that, to get like a message that hopefully will help them, empower them to be able to make the shifts and changes that they want to see, or to let go. Transformation is huge around letting go, because if something's changing in the world, like I don't know, let's say a law came in where, I don't know, what's popping up in my head is you're not allowed to drink water, right? That would be a huge shift and change, whereas people would be wanting to still continue that, but let's just say all the water was polluted, and that was the whole reason why they were saying do not drink the tap water, you have to get it from bottled or through soft drinks or something like that. I don't know, just this is a silly scenario. That would be a hard thing for people to just shift with. Some people wouldn't be able to do it. Then laws would have to come in to help people that couldn't afford the soft drinks or the bottled water, right? It'd have to be a huge shift and change. But some of those things we have no control over. So what do we have control over? We have control over how we respond and react. If I said something really horrible to like a really good friend, that could transform and change the whole relationship as well. It might evolve it and grow it into something better, but it also might mean that now that relationship is no longer viable, right? So that's when you hear people saying they cut this person off or anything like that. That's, it's neither right or wrong. It's just what happens. How do you evolve through that? What do you learn from it? If you've done something horrible to someone or had something nice done to you, what do you learn from that? What have you gained from it? When I hear motivational speakers or things like that, that powers me up. Why does it power me up? How does it power me up? Why is their words transforming into something that I now take as like truth, or that I just leave and think that that's rubbish, right? Understanding how you process information or deal with new shifts and changes, especially like breakups, right? Everyone goes through some kind of transformation. We shift schools, we lose friends at school, and then gain new friends through either positive or negative interactions, right? But we grow and change, and that's okay. Just because you have the same friends from primary school all the way up until you're an old person doesn't mean it's always like good or bad. It's just it either is or isn't. Really, it doesn't prove a good or bad person. Some people might stay exactly the same in those relationships the whole time, so where's the growth, right? Or maybe that's exactly what they needed. They needed that support person all the way through for each other, because their life was tumultuous, one of them or both of them, right? So I mean, it's not about putting a label whether something's good or bad. It's really about just identifying what is. I want to have a quick look at causality. Just going to have a quick look. So in the dictionary, it just says the relationship between cause and effect, the principle that everything has a cause, right? So everything that we do does have a cause. If someone, with that silly water scenario, if someone pollutes the water, or we have businesses pumping a whole lot of runoff or dirt or whatever into the water, that's going to cause potentially that particular outcome to be true, right? So, if we do things for quick wins, like, okay, I'm going to lie here because it's going to get me over the line, and then I'll deal with my issues or other things later, right? Sometimes that may be perfectly okay. It's not about judging. It's just like you have to own what what you're responsible for, basically. Um, and I think they want to talk about like you have to take responsibility for your life as it is today. And that's not so much for what's happened to you, but what choices you make today for your future, right? If you want a future that's shifted from today to something more higher, more heartfelt, more heart-centered, and I will get to that heart-centeredness because the automatic writing really was talking about that. I can't remember, I kind of blanked out. But anyway, the heart center is going to be where we come back to, and that's going to be your home. That's kind of, I believe, where the automatic writing was. I'll get to that in a second, though. I'm going to move on from causality and just talk about, like, I guess, like a bit of personal or some scenarios in my life, right, that maybe can kind of like help, whether they're good or bad. And believe me, I wasn't perfect, or I'm still not perfect, right? No one, I don't believe anyone's perfect and does always the right thing. We hold people, especially like celebrities or singers, artists, politicians, anything like that, to like a really high chord. And sometimes we need to, especially when they're dealing with issues that are important. But if someone says or does something wrong and they turn around and apologize for it, even if you feel like they're not honest or anything like that, try to take it in as like as a point of they made a bad decision, or they said something that wasn't appropriate. They've apologized for it. Take it as like that's what they've said, that's what they've done, that's what they've said, so that we can like move forward, right? Holding on to it and just badgering it for a long time, it doesn't really, it kind of like automatically paints the person or the picture as like a particular color for the rest of its life, right? And I'm not saying let people off the hook. Obviously, that is definitely not the point of this message. It's just to, I guess, perpetuate or help move people or a situation or a topic forward. Because if that wasn't true, or if they lied just to move on, it's going to come out eventually anyway, because people can't really hide their true colors. Let people grow and learn from mistakes, right? Even through yourself, if you're made your own, you don't have to be your own biggest critic. We are at like a default, I would say, but we don't have to be on everything. There were certain things in my past where I probably said something to someone or did something right, and vice versa. I had some stuff said to me and things happened, and if I held on to all that, it turns into a huge baggage. And with the world constantly changing and transforming, when you're trying to take huge amounts of luggage through like I don't know, through an airport, right? It's just heavier and heavier and heavier. And when you're in the airport, you don't really have a choice. You're getting on the damn plane and getting to where you need to go, because that's the goal destination. So the more you carry through, the longer it takes, the heavier it is, the more sweaty and kind of exhausted you are, the more angry you're probably going to get, right? And so it just builds up and builds up. And I believe that's kind of part of this transformation talk, is letting go, forgiveness, letting go, releasing. Forgiveness isn't to tell the other person what they did was okay. It's to move on. It's really to decide for yourself that you're no longer going to let the past events dictate your future in life. Okay, that's basically it. I'm going to do the automatic writing, and then we're going to do a reading after that. So I'll probably cut and start when I start reading. Okay, so we're going to do the automatic writing. So this was something that it's just a short little, I guess, clip of, how do you say clip? It was a short little message, right, that I wrote down. So it's nothing lengthy, but hopefully I can read it because my handwriting is a little wild. Okay, so transformation, it says the heart space is your constant and will be your home as the world shifts realities. Take heart that you can be pulled into the drama of the human experience or rise above it. Life is an experience, so live in it. Do not let the experience live you. I just want to pause there for a second. Life is an experience, so live in it. Do not let the experience live you. Trying to understand that. Life is an experience, so live in it. Right. So it's not like, I guess, become indoctrined or cemented in the experience. It's an experience, kind of like going to Disneyland or something, right? Disneyland is an experience. You don't become Mickey Mouse unless you decide to get a job there, right? But like even then, the Mickey Mouse is a character that's played by someone who goes home and has a family or whatever. So yeah, it's like you're meant to experience the experience, not to become indoctrined or cemented in it. It's an interesting saying, so take that as you will. All right, I'll continue forward. It says, let go of what keeps you in a state of suffering. Pain is an opportunity to grow, not an identity. It's pretty good. Be of gratitude when it comes to changes in your life, because nothing ever is truly stagnant. Your guidance is you. You are the master of your life. Never forget that. Your guidance is, I just want to pause there for a sec. Your guidance is you. You are the master of your life. Never forget that. You are the guidance, right? It kind of feels like the way they want to just expand on that. I say they, it's just like, I guess like source or, spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. Just for, I don't know, a little note. Your guidance is you. You are the master of your life. Never forget that. That's true. It's like, how a lot of, maybe not a lot, but certain people will be like, what do my guides want me to do? Usually they want you to know something so you can make the decision that's right for you, right? And wherever you choose, which is your choice, they will guide you regardless of the choices that you make, right? Because eventually we all get to the same kind of point in this existence, and you could say that it's a death of some sort, or to a particular goal, or whatever you want to really label it as. But ultimately, your guidance is you. You're the one who decides what you do. You can get like a lot of input from a lot of people, right? You could get hire specialists at work and get a whole bunch of information and have a more informed decision, I guess. Make a more informed decision is what I want to say. I do like it says never forget that. Don't give your power away, especially in changing times. I'm almost finished with this. I'll just continue before I keep going. It says here, blessings upon you all as you are all aspects of the Creator. Okay, so you can take that however you want, but that's the end of this little automatic writing. I'm still thinking about the guidance is you. You are the master of your life. Never forget that. In my mind, it feels like, you make the decisions and choices in your life. And the decisions and choices that are made for you, let's say your house burns down because of a fire or something like that, or a flood, or it's raining on your wedding day, and so yeah, you may not have had choice in those particular parameters of the environment, things that are external from you, but how you relate and respond is 100% up to you. Doesn't mean you're always going to do like the most heartfelt thing. No, are you going to get angry sometimes? Yeah, probably, right. What can you do? Like when things are happening in another country and it gets like war or something like that, we can feel a lot of different emotions. What can we do? How can we assist? Do we send money? Do we actually go over there and assist, right? If we can't do these things, then focusing in on it as something that we feel we need to fix or change isn't going to help. How can, like, do we need to write letters to governments or something like that? I don't know. That's kind of like where the processing needs to come in. That's kind of where I feel the message is coming through too. It's like really look at it We can see all these horrible things that are happening and stack them on our head, right, as like our responsibility. We want to be aware, but we don't want to become of it. And I think that kind of talks about here too with the experience. Life is an experience, so live in it. Do not let the experience live you. Don't let the world or governments or the weather dictate how you feel. You feel how you feel, and look into that if you want to, I guess, is how it comes through. This is kind of touching on more emotions, but I guess transformation is occurring because it says here at the start, the heart. Nope. Where did it go? Take out that you can be pulled into drama of the human experience or rise above it. So in my mind, the human experience is constantly shifting and changing, right? It's just, we can't stop it. And nor do we really want to stop transformation, change, growth, even if we feel like in our heart it's going backwards or forwards, right? In other parts, it's happening. How do we respond? What can we do? Who do we need to connect with? If we've given all our power to, other people or other organizations, and they're not living, or they don't represent our truth, then how do we start to claim power back? How do we start to help the community around us, right? If there was a law that changed, so I don't know, let's just say, for example, women weren't allowed to get teachers' roles. Let's just say that happened one day. So what do? If let's say you couldn't write to people or protest or anything like that, let's say all that was squashed or just not an option, you could still teach, right, as a woman. You could still help people and teach them. You could just do it, because what are they going to do? They can't stop everyone. They could find people, gain community or whatever, and look for it, but you could still teach and learn from females. That's just as an example, right? It doesn't have to, I'm not saying do things illegally, but if certain things don't live up to, or people or organizations don't represent your truth, let's say, or your morals, then you don't have to follow it, is how it's coming through, and how I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to buy into the human experience drama if it doesn't match certain aspects of what I believe. And that's not to say that I would do anything, or want you to do anything that's illegal or anything that's going to put you in danger, right? You got to make the decision for yourself, whether you buy into it or start to find community and people that do represent your belief systems. They don't have to be exactly like you. It's not finding, duplicates or something like that of yourself. It's just to resonate in a particular way. Because we always want challenge as well, but I won't go too far down that path. Like, we want challenge as in, I am going to go down the path. We don't want challenge. It's okay to have a variety and have like conversation, but when you can't have conversation because people are just yelling, that's not a space where you can have conversation. It's like two people wanting to debate a topic, right? And they might not be yelling at each other either, but they can't agree on a solid foundation. Let's say they want to talk about calculating how to get to a particular planet through a rocket or something. But if one is firmly in belief of the Earth is flat and the other is firmly in the belief of the Earth is round or spherical, the calculations are just not going to work, right? So you can't really even debate the how to get to somewhere when you can't even stand on the same platform, right? The ground is non-existent. So why bother talking about stuff up here when you can't even agree down here? Does that make sense? Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to grab some cards and do a reading. What did I say in here? How to work through transformation. So this is, I'm going to take this. I mean, you take this how you feel is right. I'm not going to switch the screens to go pointing down because I've got this already set up this way. So I'm just going to go cards coming up. All right, so I'll just prepare and I'll see you in the message. I'm back. I'm back. Hello, hello. All right, so we're going to do the reading. Let's get into it. This is how to work through transformation. All right, I've got a few different decks here, just the usual, right? I'm using my deck as well. I would say normally you can go get this if you really want it through the Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter is actually finished. Just finished today, actually, so I'm quite happy with that. It went quite well. It didn't get like full fulfillment. However, if you really want the cards, you can still get them through there. It is a little bit more expensive now because I'll have to create them separately. But yeah, that's there, and I might actually just create more and have them as backups, right? If anyone wants them. So yeah, so that's all done. And now I need to get my arse into gear, so to speak, and start creating. All right, let's grab some cards. So this is how to deal with transformation, or how to work through transformation. So how to I would say how to deal with it, but I'll go with how to work through it. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to grab these two cards first. I'm using the Crystal Mandala Oracle. Actually, you might be able to see it a little bit better. Let's see if it zooms. Yeah, we've got card 15, Archangel Raphael, Malachite, Grace for the Grand Gesture, Crystal Angel 444. And we've also got, we've got a couple of angels coming through. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Angel, is it Iahel? And Labradorite with Individuality. These are kind of cute cards, I would say. It's nice to get a couple of angels, right? Raphael's usually seen as the healer. And dealing with transformation, healing, to me, would be shedding skin, letting things go. And how do you let things go? To acknowledge how you're feeling. It's not to ignore things. It's not to bypass, right? There's no bypassing anything in life, really. You can do it for a bit, but eventually it's going to come back to you and slap you in the face or something like that. Probably not such a harsh way, but yeah, with these two cards, it's, to me anyway, from what I'm feeling from the energy, this is about focusing in on how this impacts you as a person first and how you feel as a person first, and then start to feel into the collective, because especially if you're like an empath, right, you can start feeling all sorts of crazy stuff from the collective. So really just know who you are first and foremost. That's not a selfish thing, just connect, and then start to look more broadly. Then start to see how it's impacting other people and what that means and how you can support or reach out and assist, right? Especially when minority groups are getting picked on, let's say, or like certain things are happening in the world that don't feel good in a heart-centered way. How can you remind people that just because laws or other groups of people are like bullying or even committing crimes against, right, humanitarian type crimes, that doesn't mean that you are part of that group. So remind them that they're supported, loved, and cared for, right? That could be where it turns out. It's just like a reminder to people, just because this is changing, and or even businesses, right? Some of the businesses where things have changed in the world are still supporting certain groups. And that may be seen as positive or negative, but regardless, it's true. So if that aligns with you, then step into that power. Don't just be a bystander as well. It's finding like your center so that you can be support and understand who you are and where you are to help the collective. But it starts from within first. It's not a external reaction due to an external reaction. Okay, let's see, what do we got? We've got the overseer and the mirror. This is monitored, controlling, and boundaries. So you can kind of see here, this little kid is looking into this mirror and he's realizing his parents have been actually kind of monitoring him, which is kind of what an overseer does, right? Is like the being or the person who ensures that certain things go well. But when we give all the power away to one entity, that's when it can be abused. Doesn't mean it's going to be. It's just where we decide to allow things to happen. We've seen that in the world, right? When certain people have said they're going to do this, this, and this, and then they get into a position and they either do it exactly what they said or they don't do it at all. That can kind of be like, oh, well, we've already put them there. We have no choice. It's like, not really. And I'm not trying to make this political, of course, but that's, you can kind of see that through the ages, not just in our age now, but through our history of certain kings, queens, emperors, whatever you want to say, who have come in and really caused a lot of pain, sometimes to the higher ups as well, like the upper class and stuff like that, right? It's caused a lot of issues there. So yeah, I guess this is really, really, really just about being very aware of your surroundings and what's changing and the nature of the shifts, because yeah, it's going to help you, I guess, know where to reach out for support if you need it, and also to be a person who is going to be there for others, right, in some way. So while it's not nice to show that controlling boundaries kind of like nature of when it's crossed, it's good once it is, because then we know we need to react or respond in some way. But check in first with you. There's also something coming through with the monitored. It could be like technological that's changing. This isn't a prediction message, but like be aware of how things are transforming and changing. I was watching something somewhere where people were worried about AI with artists, right? But with the monitoring thing, that's a huge issue as well, or a red flag, you could say. I know people didn't really care about having barcodes on themselves, or like what do you call it, like microchipped, right? It's a bit off. It just feels off from a human perspective, to have a chip in us where we can be monitored for many different things, or tracked almost. It's just, I don't know, there's something a bit weird about that. Yet we don't seem to worry about that with pets and stuff, and I can kind of see both sides of the story, but like, I don't know, just something seems off with that, when instead of humans sitting down at a computer and monitoring a whole bunch of screens, it's just AI monitoring a whole bunch of stuff, right? And that's not to mean like, oh, so the problem is AI. It's like, no, this is humans putting these things into place. So if they're going to come in, we need to like be aware, I guess, is how that message was coming through. And it's not to cause any like worry or pain or anything like that. It's just to be aware of what's happening in shifts, be aware of the transformations that are occurring, so you know who you are, what your morals are, and where you can align and what you can do and what rights you have, right? Okay, so that's an interesting one with the overseers and the mirror, because the mirror is like a reflection of self, right? So be very clear of knowing who you are. Okay. Also, over here, got the mother and the vampire ashes. This touches on care, attached, and awareness. You can see the kids are kind of trying to get the attention of their mother, or the little kid that's in the mother's arms is looking behind, is like, what is that? This is about awareness. Basically, it's about awareness. It's having good intentions, but not being aware of your own biases, of your own belief systems, of your own kind of reactions and responses. Sometimes it could be even little things that they could be like, I'm not racist, or like, this is an example, someone could be like, I'm not racist, and then when they see certain people of different colors, they act in a particular way, either overtly friendly or like overtly negative or whatever, and they don't even realize it. Be aware of your own biases, not to judge you, it's just to be aware. Basically, be aware of what's happening up here in your environment, but also what's happening in here in your heart, because remember the heart was like part of that channeled message. Okay. I'm going to get to how to work through all this, but I feel like the reading is really touching on, well, you can't really work through something you don't fully get, right? Or you don't fully comprehend or you're not aware of. So become aware of how you are tracked, monitored, how you are treated, and where your information's at. It's not to scare you, though. This is definitely not a scare tactic reading. It's just about an awareness, basically. Like, you know, if I have my information online, I don't mind my information being online. I don't mind my face being online, obviously. That's not the problem. It's when it's starting to be sold or to be tracked, the information that you're putting out there, right? So you end up on some list or something like that. Who knows? Not to get into conspiracy, but you know, there's just that kind of thing. It's like being aware is better than just going through the motions and then regretting or waiting until something happens, and then you have to react quickly to something without a lot of information. You want to be able to be like, okay, I saw this kind of coming up. Now I can start to move over here or shift this or whatever. Because that's kind of the path that I feel is being placed out in front of us. There is this like technological type pathway, which has like a lot of benefits and a lot of drawbacks, let's say. So then that probably splits into, let's say, like in extremes, full control to higher ups over us, and then a technological where a lot of people get involved. So it's like more collective, even if it's not everybody's opinion. It's just like more groups of people making a choice rather than just one higher up who decides what everyone can and can't do, right? Or how we will or won't be monitored. Because even here, she's unaware, right? She's unaware. And this kid is gaining awareness of what's happening. And it may not be for bad reasons. Maybe his parents are just trying to assist in some way. But he needs to be a part of that. And I feel like that's also another message of not discounting people's opinions because of age, whether they're old or whether they're young, right? Starting to really connect with the essence or the soul of the other person or being, instead of the looks or the age or the financial income kind of base or whatever, like the hierarchy, right? It's about seeing all as equal and not you or others as higher or lower. Because no one truly is higher or lower than anyone else. Even if you can name someone right now. We've got the King of Swords coming through, reversed. We've got the Six of Discs reversed. We've got the Prince of Wands reversed, and the Strength card reversed. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming through that's going to be very it's almost like, I'm going to show you the cards. I'll start off with the King of Swords here. So even upright, right? Can you zoom in, please? There we go. Even with this King of Swords here, he is reversed. Kind of seems a bit angry, right? Or a bit upset. I don't know what this is supposed to be. It looks like 2 human sperm. But anyway, like as an adult sperm, I don't know. Anywho, it's kind of like with the sperm actually in it reversed, it's kind of like seeing people as getting their birthright. Like, I deserve this, so I'm taking it type thing. There's this like kind of child attitude, which is interesting because the King of Swords is generally the intelligent one, right? Who makes decisions based off logic and reason. And when it's reversed, it's kind of like a lack of logic and reason to make decisions. So there's that one, and then below it, with this card reversed, the Prince of Wands, you can see the beast in the card, the kind of like line running the chariot. Oops, I'm squishing his head. and it's like there's like a determination and a pounce, and when it's reversed, it feels like I'm gonna do whatever I want type thing. This feels like toddler energy coming through, which probably is why it's showing. I guess with the strength card, I love the strength card because it's not this. It's kind of like the stereotypical strength from maybe some kind of like anime, but when in the West, especially, if we saw like this kind of like girl or person walking around, wouldn't necessarily think strength, right? But that's the whole point, because strength isn't about how big or macho you are, like maybe some kind of like, I don't know, incel type energy. It's more about an inner belief system and overcoming. So when it's reversed, it can sometimes touch on letting weaknesses or weak people make decisions for us when we don't have to. I'm not saying we do anything illegal again. I don't know why that keeps popping up, but I don't know what people are thinking. Just chill out. Being aware of what decisions are being made and where they're coming from. Like, what's the basis? I would even say ask people that have certain opinions why they believe that, how it's impacting them, and why they need to express themselves in such a way, especially if it goes so completely in the opposite direction of what they actually are trying to do. Like, what kind of world do you want to see? Maybe even asking them, questioning these things. Obviously, it has to be to people that are open to discussion, not to people who are just, I don't know, not, let's just say. And then this card came through as well, the Six of Discs, and it kind of relates to what I've already talked to. This one's upright. She's the one that's got the coins, and because she's been through the hardship of the Five of Coins, right? She's the one. She's been in these people's positions. She's been like out in the cold. She's now kind of like balancing out the wheels of being like, well, I've been able to gain all this through the love and support of the community or other people. Now it's my turn to reach out, and it doesn't have to be money. Money is not always the key here. It's showing that you do support people, that you are available to have conversations if other people are open to it. If you want to do that, this is very like opportunity wise rather than me telling you exactly what to do, right? You decide what you do. So because she's been through that hardship, she knows what it's like. How can I now, reach out? It's kind of like when I didn't do it this year or 2024 because I was too late to join in, and I kind of screwed it all up. But I was going to do volunteer work for Daffodil Day, which is like cancer society, raising money for like that kind of stuff, all sorts of different things, I guess, like treatments and blah blah blah. So usually I did that, but I didn't do that until my dad got very sick, and then that is when I decided to do it, which is kind of like, part of me felt like almost embarrassed, but then I was like, hang on, I'm actually going out and supporting, so I don't have to be such a downer on my own self, right? But it was the reason why I felt kind of slightly embarrassed was because it had to take something like that to happen before I even decide to go out there and try and support people or like raise money for a particular cause or whatever, right? And so that got me just thinking about my own place in the world and how I react and respond and what's actually happening in the world. And it's hard, especially these days, with lots of different things happening in the world that can cause us to, I don't know, respond in a negative way, positive way, that kind of thing. The reading's kind of done. This is now kind of like, I guess, the conclusion flow. And it's going to be, the conversations are going to be a little bit more less structured. I just wanted to have a conversation with my guides and get like a flow. I was also going to get on the rods too, because I thought that would be fun, but they were like, you don't need to do that. The rods are good, but there's no point in this particular reading. Maybe they'll pop up in the future, because it's quite fun using dowsing rods and connecting with a soul or a spirit or my own like soul, right? And answering yes or no kind of questions. But in conclusion, I mean, it's kind of like a really big topic, I guess, in my mind, transformation and how we can move through the differing changes. It's not to turn blind eyes. It's really to acknowledge, to align with what our heart and our truth is and what's right within us, even if in the past we've made mistakes, right? Or whatever. It's to accept what we've done and to continually accept and take ownership of our own choices. And those things that hold us back, work through releasing them basically, because the more you hold on to, the harder it is to move through the earth transitions, because the earth is changing a lot. It's happening a lot. Even here in Australia, there's, I mean, I would say most of the country is in a heat wave, except here. It's already hot where I live anyway in Brisbane, but the rest of the country is just like red everywhere. Even quite far down south in Melbourne, I think they were having very high temperatures because it looked like they had a heat wave over here and another heat wave here, and so the heat waves were overlapping. And I was like, that's what they were saying on the news. I was like, what does that even mean? But I looked at the temperature, and Fahrenheit was over 110, and in Celsius it was like 40 something. So, quite, to me, that's ridiculous heat. And it's insane. But I mean, this is the thing, it's going to keep going. Like, we don't really have too much control over that, right? We have no control. So we got to be good within ourselves to deal with whatever happens on the outside. But I really like that automatic writing. I'm probably going to do that because it speaks more truth there, or like not that I'm lying, right? But it speaks more truth to a source kind of generated message rather than just me, interpreting it on the fly. This is just like, it's expressed and it's written down. So it was quite nice. And then I go through talking to you guys about it. But yeah, how can you deal with this? Basically, focus on your own self, focus on your own path and your own belief systems, what needs to be looked at and reviewed and changed, your own boundaries, where you're letting yourself cross your own boundaries as well by getting sucked into the human experience. I love that part about you're in it, but not, you're not controlled by it. You don't have to be, unless you give your power away to the human experience. And it doesn't have to be true. But be aware, just so you know, the more that someone shows their ass in the world, like, the more people are going to see it, right? It's better for people to, in a way, to be honest and true to who they are, because if they're an asshole, there's going to be very clear that this is an asshole, right? Basically, I don't know why show your ass is kind of thing, but I think that's like a really old saying. It's like, let people show their asses, because then people are going to see what they're following and what they're subscribing to, right? Anyway, hopefully that helps. I just want to say thank you for everyone being here and everyone who supported the cards that I've created too. They'll be sent out at some stage. I've given myself until the end of August at the very latest. That is such a ridiculous time frame, but I wanted to make sure it was like fully given the time and appreciation to get there. I say ridiculous as in I feel like it'll be way before that, but I wanted to give myself ample amount of time. So it's pretty much all of my winter, which will be fine because I'll be hopefully nice and cold during winter and not sweating like it is now. But yeah, and everyone that's subscribed and watching the videos, right? These videos aren't really for me to become anything. These are all for you to absorb, to, shelve, even to reject, to absorb, in whatever situation you're going through. There's no one that can bring through a message that's going to be 100% relatable to everybody, because everyone's different. Everyone's going through their own experience, the way that they're going through their own experience. But I do feel like from the reading that we need to see this all as just an experience, not so much a story that we have to subscribe to and completely, right? It's we can still have some fun and play in here and be there for the people that are around us, be there for people who may not have a voice as well. We haven't got to the point of pushing or protesting, I don't think. I think that may come through, and especially now we're in Aquarius. If you go by Western astrology, right, Aquarius is that humanitarian who is there to kind of rally but not always lead, right? Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. It just depends. Sometimes they just want to rally it, get it to a point, and then yeet out of there and start to do another protest, I guess, like humanitarian type thing. And also the planets are in a parade, and I think you can still see them. I follow a few people who you can look through the sky telescope. They have the telescope thing, and you can they like adjust, and you can actually see the like striations on Jupiter and stuff like that on the planet. So it's quite crazy to me because I don't know. I just don't think about it all the time, but it is nice to actually just go outside. If it's safe and you can get out there and just have a look at the stars, even if you live in a big city or something. I mean, if you live in a real big city, you might not be able to see them at all. But if you can get somewhere, just to remind yourself of your kind of place. We get very much like this planet. Ourselves are bigger than anything else that's happening in the universe. But the universe is just doing its thing, right? It's expanding. It's growing. It's got a ridiculous amount of planets and galaxies out there. That's in the known universe. So the unknown is like where it goes beyond the light spectrum or something like that, where we can't see because of the time it takes for light. I don't know. It's something like that. I can't really remember, so don't quote me. But it could be even bigger than what we have been able to see through telescopes, right? So it just reminds us of our place. It's like the macrocosm instead of getting too caught up in the microcosm. But yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.